Welcome to Casa Conversations. My name is Aaron, and today we're going to be talking to the host of the Table Moments podcast, who I actually discovered through a interesting Instagram video, Instagram reel, talking about. The discussion was we're black people who sound white, who I've been accused of that, and so it really resonated with my soul. And so, I reached out, I was like, hey man, I like your content. And, the conversations kind of kicked off. And eventually I kind of discovered that, like, hey, we have some interesting thoughts. I'd love to bring him on a dialogue, talk about a few separate things, specifically around his success on Instagram, where he's got multiple videos that have cracked the 1 million threshold. Some, I think one or two that's hit, 5 to 10 million, maybe. You can correct me if I'm way off, and several who have really just done well in getting in the algorithm and letting people know what he's saying. For myself, I've struggled with that. And don't you just hate that where you put something out and nobody sees it? So I want to talk to him a little bit about that. Like, hey, what are you doing to find success? How are you overcoming or beating the Instagram overlords? And in regards to the firearms discussion, because that's important to us here on this channel, what has he experienced in that? Because he's not a firearms creator, but he's had a little bit of the taste of the Instagram zucking, as they call it. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and let's go. Sir, what's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm,
Really.
I'm excited. I'm excited, man. I'm glad you accepted the invitation to come on, and hopefully we can do something on your platform later on. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit. So if you guys are interested in what my guy is doing over on Table Moments and some of the discussions that they're having, definitely make sure you tap in there. I'll be over there eventually, and you want to definitely kind of see what's going on when we get there. So just so people have a good idea of who you are, what's your name? What do you do?
All right. My name is Ayman. I'm the host of the Table Moments podcast. It's a podcast about anything and everything, no politics, or at least try to stay away from politics.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is really hard because it's very tempting. It's a great
Hmm.
way to like game the algorithm sometimes.
Yeah.
You're going to get controversy. And so that
Hmm.
can really boost posts. But I've chosen to stay away from that kind of stuff. And basically, yeah, just do a lot of content, been experimenting a lot on a lot of different social platforms. So I have opinions on all of them. And yeah, ready to give all the game that I've learned. And hopefully you can share some too for the
Yeah.
audience.
Well, most of my success that I've found is over here on the YouTube side for those who are listening on audio only podcast or even audio video podcast. Um, what I do is Armed Atlas, which is firearms based YouTube channel. We do gun reviews, gear, tips, tricks, all the little things. Somebody called me the budget Coleon Noir once. That's a really nice compliment, and also like a backhanded compliment at the same time. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
you're
yeah.
better. You're better than him.
Oh, thanks. Which he's the OG in the space when it comes to black dudes who have gotten into firearms and things like that. But there's a lot of new up and coming creators who happen to be black. And if I wear a black T-shirt and a black hat, oh wait, I happen to be doing that this episode. Have you ever seen? And this is like a mini tangent, where they do like seminars or different things, and for the hearing impaired, they'll explain what they're wearing, which I found to
Okay.
be the most interesting thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing that? But then somebody's like, well, it's for the hearing impaired. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna back off. Like, don't make fun of disabled people unless that's like your whole thing. Um, so back to it. You have done something really, really cool where you've been throwing spaghetti at the wall for a long time,
Yeah.
and you found a few things that stick. Help the people who are listening, if they're content creators, if maybe they're just they like to bake and they want to get their baking out there and they would love to share it with more people. Maybe they're not motivated by money or anything like that, but they want to share, they want their stuff to get out there, and Instagram is holding them back. What have you found is helpful to really grab people and make them watch the freaking video?
Yeah. So Instagram, I have a love-hate relationship with it because on the one hand, I've been posting for a really long time, just experimenting, like you said, throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to see what sticks, and trying to keep. And I don't have a niche either, so that's another thing working against me. I think having a niche kind of works in favor of the algorithm, but the thing I've realized after hitting over 1 million views on 3 videos on Instagram is shareability and relatability. So the first thing is relatability. Uh, can people feel what you're saying in that video or empathize with what you actually put in that video? And so the video you mentioned, the Black People Who Sound White video, apparently there's tons of us out here who actually went through that, being
Bro,
called.
he is
Yeah.
me. He is
Yeah.
me.
Dude, it was fun reading all the comments. That there are way more people out there than I thought, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like I did that with intention or knew that there was that many of us out here. It was just one of those funny trends, like you see
Yeah.
them for
Yeah.
all these different professions, and I was like, you know what, let me do a different take on this. That's a little edgy. That's funny. That
Right, because it was a little edgy. There was
yeah,
just
it
it
was.
was just a touch edgy to be like, ooh, don't share that with mom, but share that with like the five people I know who can relate, and that one person who told me that with malice in their heart,
Yeah,
just to let them know, like I'm not alone. Like you're the weirdo, I'm not weird. But
yeah,
just so people kind of have an idea of what we're talking about, the trend specifically is like we are fill in the blank. Like we're farmers, of course we have a pet pig, or we're race
yeah,
car drivers, of course we have a really nice car at home, like stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's like the trend, and you trend jacked, which is the
yeah.
the saying, getting on the trend while it's still hot, and people are like, oh yeah, heck yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, the funny thing is I saw it on TikTok and I saw some like Air Force guys do it. And I was like, you know what? What's something I could do? I could have done the engineer because I was formerly an engineer. I could have
Hmm.
done the nerdy stuff, but the Black People Sound White sort of fits my lane where it's like edgy. I like
Yeah.
edgy content without, I think the beauty of that topic was that it was edgy but not crossing the line.
Right.
Especially, with these platforms, you got to be careful. And
Yeah, well, it wasn't rude. Like and that's the thing, right? Even
yeah,
with some of the guys in the firearm space, where I mentioned I am, is sometimes we can do weird little stuff, and it can really lean more like red hat Republican firearms guy, and start attacking people for their beliefs. And even if you just keep it purely firearms, be like the liberals or the gun grabbers, and no matter what, you're gonna like start attacking people for who they are.
yeah,
And I don't feel like that video really did that. It's really you just poking fun at yourself,
yeah.
while also saying, nice things about yourself, because it wasn't all like just negative or anything.
Right. Yeah. And what I was conveying was a lot of the comments that we all received growing up, or some of the things we notice in society by being Black people who sound white. And then pointing out, I think, some advantages of it, making light of a situation that we all growing up had to deal with.
Hmm.
But the funny thing is, going through the comments, there were some people who were sort of triggered by that post.
Of course.
And it's interesting because like when you put stuff out there and it gets views and it goes viral, there will be a portion of people who will find something negative to say about it. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things with this social media game. You just have to accept you're going to get some hate no matter what.
Yeah. No, I actually like what you mentioned, where you're going to get some hate. That's actually good for the algorithm. And as somebody who's done a few YouTube videos, I've never gone super viral, but that's actually not my goal to go viral. I want to build like a steady viewership of people who really rock with me, not necessarily have to feel like I have to keep chasing that high, chasing the dragon of like 1 million views. Which if you can get 1 million views, like heck yeah. Like I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm hating on like, oh, you got 1 million views, but like I want to get there, but I want to get there gradually so that we can kind of keep everyone together. Those who will fall off, but eventually, if I ever decide, hey, I'm going to launch a course or something, like people do, we have those people who have been rocking with me since day one. It's like, oh yeah, I've been watching his videos for free for years. I'd love to check that out. Or I actually trust his opinion when he says that this gun is not as good as this one. He's not just trying to sell me because some manufacturer sent him a free sample. And now, because building that relationship is important. But
Yeah.
kind of really back to what I was trying to say, and I kind of went on a tangent, rabbit trail. Here we go. So creating content that encourages people to leave a comment, I find personally to be the thing that really helps. And signal to YouTube or signal to Instagram or whatever, like, oh yeah, people are engaging with this. People like this thing. I did a video asking, hey, did the Glock 43X, which is like a smaller carry version of the Glock 19, just a few less rounds, did it kill the Glock 19? And people were like, you're an idiot. Or no, heck no. I carry the Glock. I would never. It's like kind of not anger people, but encourage them to get involved. Ask
Yeah.
questions that would evoke some sort of response. How do you feel like that specifically has worked with your content? Do you feel like angering people gets the best response? Do you feel like maybe, I know you said relatable.
Yeah.
How is that?
Well, specifically, definitely the commenting thing definitely works. Honestly, I think my comment sections are a lot funnier than the videos that I make.
Bro,
Like, I take a there's
I'm
a
a comment reader.
yeah, and so like I use the comments as uh, extra content, and so when
Yeah.
people actually go and see the comments, they'll actually get some joy, some fun out of the witty comments I try to leave.
Yeah.
Specifically for Instagram, though, the relatability thing leads to people sharing it on their stories, and when people do
Yeah.
that, you sort of live beyond the algorithm because people
Hmm.
are sharing it, and so it's almost like classical virality the way it used to be before all these algorithms. It was people
Hmm.
sharing it with each other, and
Yeah.
that's how I managed to, or that's how these videos got over 1 million views. I would see the notifications of people sharing it on their stories, and just like every single one of them, and that's what really propelled these. So algorithms are cool, but as you know, if you've been on Instagram lately, like they're pretty stingy with the views. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
the ad
so
dollars are down across the board. I know Facebook specifically, and Facebook is a Meta product. Meta owns
mm,
Facebook, Meta owns Instagram and WhatsApp and a few other things. And because the iPhone or Apple Inc. or whatever they call themselves, the Apple Corporation, um, they limited the amount of tracking that Facebook can do to an individual's phone or, device that is Apple, in their Apple phone. um, Basically it limited their power and their ability to say like, hey, these ads are perfect for this person. Therefore kind of like killing the rates, so people are paying more and more and more, and people are buying less ads, therefore leading to Instagram being really stingy with, first of all, paying creators. I don't know
mm,
how much they pay you, but I know they stopped some of the creator payouts. And then what else? What else happened? It's a little bit harder to go viral. They only
yeah,
want the best content going viral, not like, oh, this is pretty good. So
yeah, yeah,
that's just
and it's
testament they be doing
unfortunate.
the best.
Yeah, here's the thing, like, and the weird thing about Instagram is after you get a bit of clout, increase the following, then your videos actually start performing better than they normally would. And so
Yeah,
it's just like this weird, like in order to get there, you sort of have to be successful already kind of situation.
yeah.
I
You need a
honestly
proof
got
of
lucky
concept.
on, yeah, yeah. And so it sucks sometimes because I've been posting for over 2.5 years. And
Yeah,
I mean, like I did the slow grind. I literally did not know that those videos were going to get 1 million views. So I'm even hesitant to give any advice on like
sure.
topics to talk about because I honestly like one of my videos that I think at this point is like 10 million views is a video about microwaves. And I just
Bro.
explained the functioning of microwaves. It's crazy. Like
Well, I
I
think
never
people
would have
are
called
hungry
it.
for like answers, like for real
Yeah.
knowledge, like those who will take a second to actually listen to something that educates them. They want
Yeah.
more of that. And so for them to learn something, feel like they actually got something from you, real value, I think that's where the magic is, where they're like, oh, snap. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought Instagram was all just full of thotties and
Well,
fitness
that too.
people. With
That too.
yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh man, maybe Instagram isn't my platform. So at least I would just post the same video on all the platforms. And TikTok was my primary until I broke through the ceiling, I guess, on
Yeah.
Instagram.
So how would you characterize your TikTok profile, or you said it's the exact same content. Are you getting any play there?
Yeah, actually, a larger following on TikTok. And the cool thing about TikTok is obviously Instagram, you have to have the nice camera. Everything has to be
Hmm.
pretty. It's a visual platform. But on TikTok, you can get away with that selfie camera as long as what you're saying is punchy or hits a nerve, especially like
Hmm.
invokes some emotion in someone.
Oh yeah.
Those do really well. So like the anger comment you mentioned, where you can get people writing those comments in there,
Yeah.
that's a great way to at least train the algorithm to maybe realize that maybe your content is worth pushing.
Yeah.
Um,
There was a, speaking of comments, there was a point where I was a little bit nervous to get comments because I think I'd conditioned my mind to believe that any comment I was going to get was going to be potentially bad. And at that point in my life, I was like, oh, confrontation's kind of weird. And this has, this is me being a little bit maybe too vulnerable, has helped me to mature in that way where I'm a little bit less worried about confrontation. Like it's going to come, people are going to say what they want to say. It's not that big a deal. Like as long as I know the truth about myself, I can be okay. Like this is me sharing a lot, but how do you did you ever feel that way, or are you just kind of like a catty combative kind of guy where it's just like, yeah, bring it on, like bring on the mean comments. Someone's going to talk about my bald head.
Dude, I love the mean comments because it's sort of I treat it like the dozens, and so I get to like
Hmm.
clap back too, and so I
Hmm.
get to exercise my wit and humor too. So I've actually gotten better at that. It's sort of like you know how comedians do stand up like at whatever
Yeah,
bars or whatever
yeah,
just
yeah.
to get some practice. For me, the
Little
comment
crowd
sections
work.
are just yeah, it is crowd work for me. That's how I feel. But at the same time, it's like I have some rules. I never delete a comment. I
Mm,
never ban people either, unless it's like unless there are accusations of any criminality at all. Then this is the one. That's my one line. Otherwise, people are free to make jokes, um, crack jokes. Honestly, as long as and it's up to them if they want to go super offensive too. And I'm not going to delete it. In fact, if I can, I try to like or heart every comment just as a sort of
mm,
like acknowledge, hey, you left a comment and it was read. You know, because those are only like 9% of the people out here on social media, like the 99-1 rule. I'm sure you know
hmm.
only 9% of people ever interact with content, leave a heart
Yeah.
or leave a comment. So the fact that they actually put effort and added some material to the piece itself, I think is worthy of some reward.
Did you make a post about that? I feel like I remember you
Yeah, I
talking
did.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you
So
recycling material. I see you.
yeah. I don't know. I just respect because like you said, it does feed the algorithm
Hmm.
a little bit. So I'm just like, you know what? It deserves a heart. Like,
Yeah, man. Somebody actually left me a comment like yesterday, and they were commenting. It was the video was like 2 years ago, or a little bit earlier in on my. Oh gosh, I'm struggling with that. My firearms content creation, and even a little bit earlier in my shooting career, like really being a proficient shooter, nailing down my recoil control, depending on how small the gun is, because smaller guns are harder to manage than bigger guns. Usually, depends
mhm.
on what we're shooting. If we're shooting like elephant rounds, good luck for your shoulder's going to be out of commission for a week. But
Yeah.
even 9 millimeter out of a gun that's like this big is gonna create some snap. And somebody was like, man, that gun was about to do a backflip out of your hand. And, easy enough to be like, ooh, that's kind of mean. That's offensive. I don't want to feel like this guy's questioning my credibility and making me feel like, oh, dude, I've been found out. I'm a fraud. I can't shoot. But on the other side, I was like, hey, you know what, dude? Appreciate the comment. Actually, we've gotten a lot better since then because that's the truth. Like the truth of
Mhm.
the matter, and kind of the theme of my life recently is what's true about me. Like what is the truth? Do I know the truth? And realizing that, like, hey, I was less of a good shooter back then. I wasn't bad, but I just was less good. Now I'm a little bit better. Can I be okay with somebody calling out the fact that I was less good? That's progress, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things social media has taught me is like to have much tougher skin
Hmm.
than honestly, like just hanging out with people who aren't in the social media game. It's like they are very, I think, aware of people's judgments and stuff. And for me at this point, nothing can phase me since I've gotten hate from so many videos and
Yeah,
people leaving mean comments and all that. So I do appreciate that sort of personal growth that comes as part of this. But then you also
yeah,
got to check the ego too, because
right.
it's easy. it's easy to let it
Yeah.
get to your head.
Well, real quick, we just want to say thank you to the moderator of tonight's live stream, DJ Play Nice, dropping all the links for your show on the Spotify and your Twitter. Are you on Twitter right now, or is that
Yeah, technically I have a Twitter, but I'm not
Twitter
active
X
there.
not
Yeah.
active? Either
Yeah.
way, if you give this man a follow, maybe he'll get more active there.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean, you see
I'm on
what I mean?
Threads too.
Oh my gosh,
Do people
I
use
can't
that?
do I can't get with Threads anymore. Like I'll hop in because Instagram's like showing me a Threads post that's like, ooh, that's kind of interesting, and I'll hop in and I'll be like, all right, what else? Is there anything else here? No? Okay. I'm out.
Yeah.
Back to
Yeah, it's pretty
Instagram,
boring there.
who
Yeah.
I have such a love-hate relationship with IG. Like it's
Yeah. Dude.
um so let's talk about it. There's another post that you did. I can't quite remember what it was, but it showed up in my algorithm and I was just like, oh, that's really interesting. And it had like a ton of comments and I was like, whoa, what was another viral post that you had? And like, how did that come about?
The only ones I can think of is the Black People of Sun White, the microwave video, and then
Mhm.
I forget what the third one is. But
Oh, I gotta pull it
honestly,
up.
yeah, I'm gonna pull it up too. I don't know. Like after posting so many videos, you start forgetting like which ones.
Well, you used to do man on the street videos, which I was like,
Yes.
oh, this man is actually kind of tall. Bro, how
Yeah,
tall
yeah,
are you?
yeah. I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3".
Yeah, like you can't tell just like looking at you right now. I'm like, okay, he's just bald guy, big old beard, glasses.
Hmm.
Okay, this dude's smart. Like you're smart just looking at him. But
The
like
glasses.
I'm messing. Um, but like seeing, I guess like torso up and you standing next to people, you're just like hovering over humans, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, he's a small giant. He's at least 6'2", 6'3",
Yeah,
clearly.
it does make doing the street interviews. At least when I see, that's the thing. I experimented with so many different types of content.
Spaghetti on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. And those ones tend to do better on TikTok, I think.
Yeah, it's just
But
relatability.
it is. It is. Like the third video that hit over 1 million views was about temperature, Fahrenheit versus Celsius.
Yes,
It's just
that was interesting. And then people were like, "Oh, it's just people from all the way around the world going off."
yeah, see, that's it wasn't my intent. I stumble into these things by accident, but yeah, there was a sort of beef going on, people
Yeah,
internationally versus Americans who use Fahrenheit. And I was just explaining the merits of both temperature scales based on one centered around the boiling and melting or freezing temperature of water, and Fahrenheit, which is like more human centered. And so I was just explaining, hey, if you're trying to figure out whether it's sweater weather,
sweater weather.
maybe yeah, maybe Fahrenheit makes more sense. And then people in the comments obviously like clapping back at each other, like, oh,
Yeah,
you stupid Americans, all that. And so that's what pushed it, I think, in
always.
the algorithm.
Listen, if your gun video ever goes real viral, or here's the thing, gun videos aren't really going to go viral like that. But what will go viral are videos of intense like shootouts or violence or like some sort of mass killing event. That will go viral, which is
Mhm.
insane to me. I'm like, oh, so you want to spread fear and misinformation and disinformation, but a guy who's actually trying to show you how to shoot like in a safe and responsible way, how to be effective with the firearm you already have or that you're thinking about getting. I want to teach you how to do it safely. Oh, well, we had to take this down because it goes against our policies of this or that. Um, and so I do eventually want to get to your firearms post that wasn't a firearms post, but
Yeah.
Instagram bullied you into taking it down or took it down for you, which
Mhm.
is insane to me. Not a
Mhm.
firearms post, but it was a firearms post, according to
Yeah.
them.
Actually, this was on YouTube, weirdly enough. And I know you
YouTube.
guys probably, yeah, because I don't think I actually got, I think whoever screens it on Instagram realized it was a toy
Ah,
and
yes.
not a real one. But on YouTube, for whatever reason, they're like, hey, we got to take your life because
Oh, you did
I
it on
brandished it.
live.
Yeah, I did it on live. Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that was the
Don't do
problem.
that. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
but
YouTube
anyway,
Live. Here's a secret. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. I think there was, according to a source, there was a few people who ended their lives and careers on YouTube Live, and YouTube decided, hey, we're just not going to do that anymore. So if you pull a firearm out and our algorithm scans your screen and detects a firearm, if it hears the right noise, stream done. Nah, you're not doing it here. You're going to be alone in your room by yourself Don't laugh. That's not a good thing to laugh. I'm just messing with you.
Dude, I've been banned, or at least my lives has been suspended on TikTok like more than I can count for
Is it
random
just getting
reasons.
reported or what?
I don't know, maybe reported or maybe their algorithm just
Just
sucks,
showing too much
but
skin?
maybe too much on the head
Too much on
probably, but
top. The
yeah.
ratio is off, man. You're killing the.
Yeah,
They
it's
have
all
like an
beard.
algorithm where it's like, skin to clothing ratio, and
Yeah.
because there's a lot going on up there,
Yeah.
threw it off. Next time, throw a beanie on. Boom, you're gonna be
Yeah.
good.
Or maybe a black hat and then I could be the third wannabe Colin Noir.
Right, right.
Or Mach Toure or whatever. I
Oh
think
shoot,
do all you guys wear
yo,
hats?
yeah. No, it's like not even. Here's the thing. There's like certain categories of
Okay.
firearms guys. So right now the bro vets are under fire because they keep doing a lot of dumb stuff. Bro vets being like ex-military Delta Force guy, Navy SEAL, um, former Marine, Medal of Honor recipient, those kinds of guys who they leave their military service, they come into the firearms community, and now they're selling their courses, they're using their clout to become brand ambassadors for companies. They're going to USCCA events and speaking about their time in Kandahar, doing an extraction and some of the lessons that you as a civilian can learn from my time overseas killing people. Just like random stuff like that.
Yo, a course on that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so, and I'm not saying that some of that information really isn't valuable, especially when you talk about regular civilians learning some of the firearm skills that these guys have had to hone over years and years and years. You can maybe learn some of that over a shorter amount of time and take that home and really, teach your community how to run a gun, just in case, Red Dawn ever happens and you see, the North Koreans invade after dropping an EMP, of course, stuff like that. Um, but the Brovet community has been under fire because I know there was allegedly a guy in Las Vegas who punched and broke the jaw of somebody that I know. And it was like kind of like a random situation where they were having a conversation, and this other guy kind of comes up and is like, "Hey, why are you talking to him like that? You commie N word," and then like decks him and then punches him again. And apparently he has a broken jaw. I've not seen some of the information to corroborate, so I'm not going to get into all the details, but that was not good because those guys were like super well known on like doing the podcast circuit, making a lot of money off people, brovets. And it's like, ooh, 2A community. I don't think we can continue to do business with these guys if they're just going around doing things that are allegedly doing these things. And then even in the last few weeks, it's kind of come out that there's another guy who he was at work and a box with a firearm went missing on its way to UPS. Apparently, it went to the wrong courier. It was supposed to go to FedEx. And in the process of that box being returned to the firearms company, they called the police and had that employee arrested for the gun going missing. They were like, maybe I think he stole it. Is he into trafficking? We don't know. And it's kind of more information is continuing to come out, but that company that called the police on their one black employee, um, yeah, that's where it gets bad. It's like, ooh, that looks bad, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that company is run by a bunch of like former Navy SEALs and Delta Force type guys who it's like, oh, okay, is this what y'all are doing now? Is y'all punching people in the face and calling the cops on people? So they going back to your point about like the look of like ball caps and stuff like that. They wear a lot of like really tight t-shirts, jeans, ball cap, but like the actual like baseball style ball cap where it's like real curved
Yeah.
around there like duckbill. That's a specific look. And then I think if you're more like the urbanish, I'm not urban, but if you're trying to kind of go for that specific look, you wear like a regular like tall ball cap. I don't know. We
I don't
went
know.
on a tangent.
They should be. I don't know.
It's a
Have you
dress code.
considered the whole hipster look, and then like to look less because the all black? It's dope. It's a nice fit, but
Yeah.
you know how like a lot of anti 2A people anytime they see a black firearm, it's got to be an
Yeah,
assault, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe if you dress it up in the opposite direction, maybe throw on like a tweed jacket or something, but then you could still do it. I don't know. Maybe it softens
Hey,
the look a little bit.
maybe when you finally decide to fully get into the space,
Yes.
maybe you don't have to be an influencer, but when you get your situation going,
Yeah.
you can how do you say bring out a new look where you get the
Yes.
patches on the elbows with the jacket looking
Yeah.
like a college professor,
Yes.
but boom, Walther
I'll explain the
PPQ.
physics. Yeah.
Right.
I'll explain the physics of
explaining
firearms.
explaining how the primer ignites the powder, and then that causes a propellant to burn at a rapid pace and send it down the barrel with the twist rate of 1 over
Yeah. It's just a glorified rock thrower, guys. That's all it is.
right, right. We're just tossing rocks, precious
Yeah.
metals down the street,
Yeah. And I
no
think
big
a
deal.
content, if I frame it the right way, I think people would share it too. So
Oh yeah,
it'd be good.
100%, bro,
Yeah.
bro. This is your moment. This is your moment.
Yes.
Get it? Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I want to see it. Oh man, appreciate you, DJ Play Nice, continuing to post things in the live chat for our awesome listeners, and of course, I saw a few of you guys jump in here. If you guys have any questions for my guy, go ahead and fire them in. Just to reiterate, podcaster, which we really even haven't talked about the podcast,
Yeah.
Instagrammer, YouTuber, all the different things. Let's kind of quickly talk about the podcast, and then we'll get into some other stuff. Table Moments is your podcast. You guys have gotten into the merch. You're making a wallet. But
Yeah.
what is Table Moments? And then we'll hop into the wallet.
All right, so the name comes from an idea that my friends and I came up with when we were kids. You know how when you're among friends, you guys can just talk endlessly about anything and everything. There's
Hmm.
no like set topics. It's not an interview style. It's literally just a conversation.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of those growing up, usually around a table after dinner or late at night, and we're just talking, laughing our asses off, just having a good time. And that's essentially the format of the podcast is conversational style. There are no set
Yeah.
topics and just go into it, just a conversation. And yeah, and then that's how this podcast started. And that's the format it keeps. And the content, I think, on the socials reflect the variety of topics that can be covered on the podcast as well.
Right. Because like you said earlier, you don't necessarily have a niche. And I think that's sometimes hard for people to grasp. Like they have to fall in love with your personality
Yeah.
versus falling in love with the way you handle a specific topic. Because you might handle that topic today and a different topic another day. Like, oh, he's not talking about physics anymore. Now he's talking about what wedding rings to actually buy based
Yeah.
on, characteristics. And that video did it pretty well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fascinating. And I was like, wait, he's talking about buying an engagement ring, and he needs to we need to understand the cut of the engagement ring and the ratio of rose gold in there, which is with the regular gold, And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I feel educated. I feel smarter already.
Yeah. I like that there's an audience there for the educational stuff, which I didn't expect,
Yeah,
which was a nice surprise about Instagram. Um, and I like making that content. And
yeah,
like you said, they do have to sort of like my personality. Weirdly enough, that's essentially what happened. But I do have a hunch that it is the harder way to grow on social because
yeah,
you sort of have to have a catalog and you have to be able to convey your personality in your videos, which I think is a harder thing to do when you're first new at it. It was hard for
yeah.
me. Like you do content, so it takes some time to get used to the camera and being able to speak, and it's all personal growth. So,
Yeah, freaking my cameraman will call me out if he feels like I'm being too wooden in front of the
uh,
camera.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, like he'd be like, "Hey, take a moment, breathe in, breathe out, shake it out, get the loosies out, start
yeah,
wiggling, start doing something really weird that you would not want recorded, and then, all right, let's get into it. Now I can be myself and not feel like I have to be something else for the camera." So we
yeah.
actually had a comment come up, and we'll answer that now. Actually, Burnt Nugget. Let me see if this pulls up on the screen. Have y'all ever had any completely off the wall topics come up? I guess during the podcast.
Yeah. The cool thing about a podcast, especially when originally it was just audio only, recently just got into the video part, but because it's audio only and it's a RSS feed, literally we could do speak uncensored. And so we did. And yeah, we got offensive too. We get,
Hmm.
I would like to say slightly offensive, depending on your taste. But
Sure.
yeah, we sometimes we've had debates about serious topics. We've also explored like deep, intimate things. We've joked, made offensive jokes about certain things, and in a tasteful way, nothing
Hmm.
hateful. And the cool thing about the podcast is that we don't have to worry about some like social media overlords telling us, "Oh, you can't say that." It's
Right.
literally just an audio feed.
Yeah, I was actually going through your catalog just because you have a really extensive catalog and it changes. Like you can see the evolution of your growth
Yeah,
as things as you kind of like shift down. It's like, oh, now he was doing thumbnails for his Instagram videos, and at this point he was doing it at this table, and now he's moved over.
yeah.
Um, at one point, you guys were actually talking about you and your boy were talking about Muslims, and I was like, ooh,
Oh yeah.
dangerous topic. But I think I wasn't quite sure. But you grow up Muslim or?
Yeah, I grew up Muslim.
Okay, so maybe you got a little bit more license to
Yeah,
play,
yeah,
though I'm not sure if anybody will recognize that license. But if anyone wants to come for you, be like, hey, I grew up Muslim. What are you talking? Leave me alone.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but
but
we've even brought up like spicy things like spanking and our experiences growing up. And
mm,
this actually, Table One was started off as a siblings podcast. My siblings were a regular part of the show. Since then, they've dropped off. They're still supportive, but yeah, we've talked about pretty much anything, all the types of conversations you would have with close friends, where it's a safe environment. No one's going to take anything you say out of context or like try to cancel you or anything. In those
yeah,
kind of environments, yeah, those are the type of conversations we're having where it's more free spirited, which I appreciate myself.
yeah, and I think like you may have implied earlier, if you generally are coming from a good place, you're not just like a hateful human being.
Yeah,
People will give you a little bit of a break. They'll be like, he said that, but I don't think he really meant it like that. Like, he all right. Somebody just popped another question in here, and I thought it was really good, so we'll just take it now. Um, Jordy, you two have different energies, but it works well. I think they're talking about us, but maybe they're talking about you and another host at some point. How important is it to balance out your podcast guests for a pleasant viewing experience or listening experience? So, um, say your name for me one more time.
Ayman.
Ayman. I always want to
Yeah,
say like Ayman, but it's not
yeah.
Ayman. It's Ayman. So Ayman has his own podcast, Table Moments, and this is Costa Conversations podcast. Eventually, we're gonna do a crossover event. It's gonna be epic,
Yeah,
as we're doing right now.
yeah,
And so for me, just I'm gonna answer it, then I'm gonna let you like really finish it. Um, it can be a little difficult because depending on if I've talked to the person before, maybe I'll know how to approach them. Maybe I'll feel a little bit more loose and relaxed with a guest. Like I feel pretty relaxed right now. Or if it's a guest who's like very, very serious, maybe I'll be a little bit more stiff and not really know how to, break through that wall of like, hey, it's just another person. Let's just have a conversation. So it, it's on me. Like it's on me to make it work. If I'm a good host, I can adapt to that person. What about you?
yeah. I like that comment you made about adaption. I think it is nice to have different personalities to balance it out because I don't know. I feel like having too many of the same type of person could just basically feel like it's just one person talking. But
Yeah.
I feel like people are different enough that anytime I've invited a guest on, like we usually have different energies, and I think the host usually has the responsibility to make sure that the conversation flows, which you've been doing, and which is what I do on the podcast. I have the luck, or actually, I have the for my circumstance, I actually pre-record it and then edit it, whereas
Yeah.
you do live streaming. So I think it's a harder game for you, but
Yeah. Because you
yeah,
can't really have like dead moments, and even earlier when I was like lost for words, I'm like the clock is ticking, tick, tick, tick,
yeah,
tick.
yeah,
The silence is deafening. Oh,
yeah.
but
I, I don't
yeah,
know. I prefer pre-recorded, just because it gives me a chance to edit it. And usually,
mhm,
like my guest could be anybody. Like
yeah.
literally, last couple episodes was a friend who started a clothing brand, and we talk about how to start a brand. And then the other one was a rapper who reached out on Instagram. And the cool thing is
Y'all
because I
had
can
him
edit.
recently, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
And
I love that conversation. It was actually fantastic.
yeah, it was awesome, like hearing his experience with Spotify and how to grow an audience without actually going viral. I think it's a really useful episode for anyone who's trying to build an audience who's in the music space. And the cool thing is, like, because I can edit them, I can make people sound better than they do when they're, because people have, when they speak, there's a lot of filler words.
Hmm.
Usually their thoughts go on longer than they need to, at
Yeah,
least for
you
like
can
the
take out an entire section if it was just completely useless to the
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Or even like take out topical things or dated things, so that the at least that's how I'd like to edit the podcast, so it's timeless, so you can really jump into any episode and be able to listen to it without having to know what was going on in that moment.
Definitely, definitely. And yeah, I really sometimes I wish I could go back and edit these because
Yeah.
there's even moments where I'm just like I'm going on for a moment and I'm just like, ooh, that topic was the way I answered that or the way I just interjected some thoughts. It was kind of pointless. Like, I wish I could take it out. But YouTube's a little bit different. Where if you want to edit something that's pre-existing on YouTube, it takes a little bit more work than
Yeah.
saying, okay, let me get it the way I want and then publish. But also, personally, I had to like do it live or the podcast would never get out because there's so much going on. I've got two little kids, full-time job, wife who's in her school programs right now, and it's just like, my god, I don't if I don't sit down and just do it, it's not going to get done. It's just the
Yeah.
reality of it. Plus,
Yeah.
if I'm making firearms content as well, that's like three full-time jobs plus some extra stuff that I do.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because if you want to get into this game making content, like whatever's the easiest way to make content, I think is the right way. And so
Hmm.
it's like figuring out what makes sense for you personally. And for me, it really just started with audio only, and that's originally how the podcast started. And then the only reason I got into social media was because, how do you grow a podcast?
Mm.
Like,
Well,
that's
but
the
that's the
only reason.
question. But
Yeah.
that's the question. Like, how do you grow a podcast? Hey, guys, no, but seriously, I'm talking to the audience right now. I don't know how you grow a podcast. Could y'all please share this with everybody you know?
Yes, hit that
Share
like
this with
button.
your mom. Hit the like button on the stream. Like, because there's a few of you in here right now, and the likes to viewer ratio isn't quite there. So if y'all could just hit the like button if you can, and of course, if you can't hit the like button, make sure you like share this with somebody that like likes guns or is interested in growing on socials, or even just likes conversation. Like that's the joy of something like this, is we can all just kind of talk and enjoy our time. But
Yeah.
I said people are continuously asking where to find your podcast, where to find your podcast. One more time, could you just let them know where's your podcast? What's the name?
Okay, it's Table Moments on any podcasting app. So Spotify, Apple, on social media, search Table Moments. It'll likely be the first thing. On YouTube, you have to actually type Table Moments podcast. Otherwise, if you just do Table Moments, you're going to get a bunch of WWE highlights, because apparently,
Bro, I think I looked it up earlier and I was like,
yeah,
oh, that's where.
yeah, a table moment is when a wrestler throws another wrestler on a table. And so, like,
Yeah,
I will
they,
know I have been successful on YouTube once table moments and I show up first.
yeah,
Is the search term.
bro. Actually, let me tell you. So when I first started the podcast, Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club,
Yeah.
he and Andrew Schultz, who from oh my gosh, what's his podcast called?
Flagrant.
Flagrant, yeah, Flagrant, like Flagrant 2. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the branding was on that, but they did a show together called something Idiots or something like that. But
Yeah.
one of their shows is called Costly Conversations, like the name of the show,
Okay.
the name of the episode. And so for a long time, if I looked myself up, that was the first thing that showed up. And I was like, what? I was here first.
Yeah.
And then eventually it started just trending a little bit more and ranking in search and stuff like that. So that was helpful.
Yeah.
But let's talk about building a brand. So you've been doing this for a long time, you know, putting spaghetti on the wall, doing the things, and now you've gotten to a point where you're experimenting. That engineering brain, the big brain engineer in you, is saying like, hey, how can I make solve a problem for myself? You built yourself a wallet a little while ago,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now you're selling this wallet for like $20. Like not expensive at all. I would get it if I didn't really, 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 really love my wallet. It's like a
Yeah.
$60, $70 extra wallet with a little thingy, and it's lasted for 3 years. I love it so much. It's like fantastic. But if it ever broke, I'd just pick up one of yours because it's like so minimal,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's a front pocket wallet, which is crazy. Like you can literally put it in, and it's not going to bulk.
Yeah.
Talk about the wallet, why you created it, like what problem are you really solving with it? Couldn't you just buy a wallet?
Yeah, that's a thing. Like originally, this was an idea that came out of Kickstarter. They launched a minimalist wallet, literally made out of this material called Tyvek. It's the stuff that they wrap houses under construction with. If you ever see it, it looks like paper. So that was the original idea, and I like the idea of something I could put in my front pocket because I don't like thick, bulky wallets and like looking like I have tumors coming out of my legs. And so I like the idea, but they currently sell a wallet similar to this for like $57 on Amazon. I was like, yo, I don't care to spend $57 on a minimalist wallet. And so I was like, what if I can make it myself? And I like making things myself. So that's what I ended up doing. And then, doing the whole podcasting thing, I was like, all right, how do I make this sustainable long term, and gives people something of value, or at least something that's personal to me that I actually enjoy the use out of, and while staying independent at the same time, because these social platforms, yeah, you can get some revenue from it and everything, but you are sort of beholden to their rules, and they could always kick you off at any time. And so
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, is there a way I can make this sustainable and independent? And I figured, make my own wallets, and so I did.
Yeah. Well, show that since you got it right there. Let's go ahead and show it off. I'm gonna give you the big screen.
Yeah, it's a thin front pocket. I call it a front pocket wallet. I'm still working on the marketing, but literally it's as thin as you could get. It's made out of a ripstop material that I end up fusing on the edges using a impulse sealer. And I actually cut these patterns out using a laser cutter, which I really enjoy. I'm an engineer who likes toys. So started making those. And I figured, you know what, maybe other people might like it too. So let me share the idea with people.
You don't happen to
And
have one that's filled out, do you?
it's in the back over there.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't. But I
all
mean,
good.
6 cards, 12 bills. I think is about what most people need, and it's for a minimalist. So it's not made for everybody. It's made for people who like
Right.
thin wallets. So
Yeah, guys who
and
are carrying literal backpacks with them, maybe that's not the move. Unless they want to strip down and go
yeah,
minimal, and
right,
maybe they keep everything else in the pack. And so
yeah,
we've solved two problems.
yeah. And if I can successfully sell this, not only to the audience, Table Moments audience, but I'm even experimenting to a broader audience, then this could be the thing that keeps me independent so I can
Hmm.
be free to make the type of content I want without any like overlords telling us, terms and conditions and
Right.
uh, which I hate, by the way. I hate that. That we sort of have to use like code words because of certain topics. And I'm sure you really have to deal with this the most, especially making the type of content you make.
Yeah, so we're actually getting some requests that you grab the filled one. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do a quick plug for my Armed Atlas YouTube channel, and I'm going to let you go grab that one. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, guys. So if you've been watching Costly Conversations podcast and you love what we do, please do me a solid and go over to I got a QR code on the screen, Armed Atlas YouTube, youtube.com/Armed Atlas, and it gives you quite a bit, a catalog of firearms content. If you want to see specific reviews on guns, let me know. I'm down to review whatever. Right now, I can't show you what I'm working on right now because YouTube will kick it off. But maybe if you head over to the locals after this, I'll show you exactly what we're working on my locals community. Armedatlas.locals.com will show you there. But point being, on the screen, QR code, screenshot it with your phone, use your QR reader, go over there and jump into Armed Atlas. Make sure you subscribe over there. It's a fun time, and I would love to help you guys out. All right, let's go back to the show and check out my guy's wallet. All right, did you get the wallet?
Yeah, I did.
Package
That's what it
secured.
looks
All
like.
right, here we go. I'm gonna give you
Very,
the
very
screen.
thin. Yeah. So it's super thin. The idea is like 6 cards, 12 bills, perfectly sized for American currency. Some people requested like international currency. I'll make a pattern soon, but I like the idea that it's as small and as thin as possible. And
Is
this
that a
is an
little bit of brass on
experimental.
the side, or
Yeah, it's
give it
experimental. I might.
give it a little bit of form?
Yeah.
I like
So
that. That might be a thing that you got to do. I know it
yeah,
costs extra to do that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm constantly experimenting, and it's cool because people who've ordered it and actually got a chance to use it say they forget it's in their pocket, which is the best compliment I've ever received for this
Oh
thing.
my
So
gosh. Jordy over
yeah.
here is having the most fun. Jordy, where do I know you from? You're hilarious. That awkward moment when you're eating without pants and can't leave the screen. Yo, my commenters are the best. Hey, thank you for
Yeah.
joining the stream, man. So yeah. So that's awesome. Um, glad you got a chance to show us the wallet. And for the audio listeners, head over to his Instagram. I'm sure it'll be in his stories. He's constantly tweaking it. And
Yeah.
pick one up if you want to. Like it. Here's the thing: even if you don't need a wallet, there will be a birthday. There will be you know, Thanksgiving. There will be what do they call it? Kwanzaa? I don't know. Some random holiday. There will be
Juneteenth.
a Juneteenth, somebody's bar mitzvah. Like, go ahead, grab one. It's $20, right? We eat $20 for breakfast sometimes. Like when we're feeling real greedy, $20 for breakfast. Um, support our guy. Let him be a little bit more independent. Give him some freedom and stroke his ego a little bit. You know what's wrong with that? What's wrong with
Yeah.
that? All right. So back to the show. Let's talk about um, the gun thing a little bit. So we talked about it briefly earlier, but was it your fiance got you a wooden gun? Which sounds really weird, but
Yeah.
it's like a kind of like a Lego thing. Like describe it.
Yeah, it's. I guess they describe it as a wooden puzzle, but essentially it's like an assembly kit.
Hmm.
They laser cut all these patterns in wood, pieces of plywood, and then you basically assemble it together, and it looks like a firearm. Which is,
Yeah,
I did not expect it to have this much detail, and apparently
yeah.
enough detail that the YouTube algorithm caught it as a possible showing on a live stream thing.
Hmm.
So that should, I honestly, I would show it if it didn't, if it wouldn't have gotten the live
Yeah,
band. But
yeah. Definitely. Well, you can show
yeah,
it afterwards because it may be like 15 to 20 minutes or however long we can go. We'll cut over to a private live stream on locals. DJ Play Nice was nice enough to paste the link in the live stream chat, and that link will also be in the description of the podcast and the show notes and everything. If you want to catch the exclusive back end of the show, it's a chill time. And of course, there's a lot of exclusive content over there that I post for free because I want you guys to be able to get it. But if you want to support over there, it's like $5 a month, something real small, like less than a cup of coffee, because coffee is like $7 to $15 for. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I
yeah,
don't drink coffee because I'd be broke. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I don't drink coffee. But y'all could pay for me to drink coffee if you support in that kind of way, but you don't have to. Watch the content there for free. It would make my day. Um, we can show it there. But so YouTube is really interesting because the live streams don't show a gun on the live stream unless it's like static image on the wall, like mounted on the wall behind you or something like that. Don't touch a gun. But people got really scared. Like millionaire YouTubers got kind of nervous because their livelihood was about to dry up. Because anytime they would do anything with a gun, their channels would get struck, their content would get pulled. And beyond that, if you're creative, the idea that something you really worked hard on and a lot of people got a chance to see and more people can see is getting removed from the internet or potentially banned. That's heartbreaking. It's a lot of hard
yeah,
work. We put a lot of work into this. Like, you've been doing this for years.
yeah. People don't appreciate the amount of effort that goes into this kind of stuff. It's a lot, and then just
Right.
to put it all at risk because you brandished something on a live stream.
Right.
It's
And even the idea that, oh, your channel will get removed because you didn't quite understand the rules, or there was a rule that was retroactively activated. So all your
yeah,
old content that did a thing that was fine is now active triggering the algorithm or being reviewed manually and removed because why? I don't know. It didn't make sense. So that's fortunately that's been straightened out. I think somebody's senator got involved because firearms people are, depending on who you are, somewhat powerful in the sense that we have these conversations. Like guys, not me. I'm not having conversations with senators, but other people are. And I think a senator got involved and talked to YouTube, and now their policy is much more clear on what is allowed and what is not allowed, and they're not enforcing crazy rules. You still can't thread a suppressor onto a handgun, a rifle, or a firearm. Like you can't just, you know, put the
Wow.
suppressor on, or you're modifying the gun on camera. They don't like that. Don't do that. Um,
Okay.
and content, so I have a hard time monetizing content that has to do with parts, like
Yeah.
modifications. Like, oh, I got this new handgun and I'm putting a better trigger in because the other trigger was really bad. And it doesn't make the gun more dangerous. It actually makes it more accurate because
Mhm.
I don't have to jerk the gun to squeeze through to press off a shot. I can cleanly press a shot and then be accurate. And that's just the beauty of a good trigger, is it makes it a little easier to be accurate, which is safer, which is safer.
Yeah, you're teaching
I,
safety, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm encouraging capitalism
Yes.
and teaching capitalism, encouraging capitalism, and I'm teaching people like, hey, this is actually good, or maybe avoid this one. You're going to waste your money on this, and it's not actually going to be better for your, whatever it is you're seeking in a trigger. Anyways, it's hard to monetize that because they're like, are you talking about a hair trigger? Like for some reason they use that exact language, hair trigger, and in their mind it's like, ooh, it's this is more dangerous. It's
Right.
maybe for some people, hair
Is this
trigger.
true for? Because I always stumble on these videos, these gun videos. I'm fascinated by anything machinery, and guns are included. And I always wonder, like, do all these videos get demonetized automatically, or?
Depends. I've had videos more recently because I'm gonna take you through the monetization process for me because my Armed Atlas channel is monetized. I go through, I click in the monetization options, like it'll have a category, be like, hey, do you want to monetize this video? Yes. All right. Does it have any of these things in it? Firearms, and then it'll give you a breakdown. I guess you have options for like sensitive topics, nudity, different things like that. But for firearms, which is applicable to me and this conversation's here, it'll give you like a drop down of 4 options, which is like basically out the box or at a shooting match or something like that, or some sort of like news broadcast or something like that. Something that's innocuous to them. Or does it have, are we talking about customizations? Are we talking about building, cleaning, and different things like that? Or are we talking about things that are like illegal? And are we showing machine guns? They don't like machine guns. Are we doing different things like that? And if it falls into category number 4, no. If it falls into category number 2, limited monetization. So only people with YouTube Premium, you'll get the money from that. They pay you a certain amount for YouTube Premium. So pay you a certain amount of money if a person with YouTube Premium watches your video, and if it's a video that to them is fine, being out of the box firearm, such as I just bought a Sig P365. I just picked it up. This is a gun. Look at it. That's fine. They don't care.
Okay. All
Full
right.
monetization.
All
So
right.
long story, but and somebody just asked, what's the difference between 9 millimeter and 380? I will tell you in a little while. Um, my goodness, we're about an hour in. Wow. So what else is there to talk about before we head over to locals? So one thing I did actually want to talk to you about, and maybe there's something you really want to bring up, but you recently went through like a journey of self discovery, um, got engaged, discovered a new faith. Can we talk about that? I know you were a little bit shy to
Yeah.
talk about some of that because I feel like based on some things you said, you're like, well, I'm just so new to this.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Like, that's a big change to get
Yeah.
engaged and to become a Christian or whatever religion you joined. What was
Yeah.
that? What was that about?
Yeah, it was like a night and day difference. And weirdly enough, my parents watch my content too, which is kind of tough to think about because like
Yeah.
especially the older stuff is really spicy. And so like I used to curse a lot in these videos. And yeah, since then, since having that sort of spiritual experience, um, leaning into towards the Christianity path. Haven't been baptized yet, but that's definitely in the future. I my content isn't as punchy. And I think
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it just yet because I feel like the spiciness and edginess that I once had is no longer there. But on the other hand, I've gained this sort of peaceful aspect to the content now. So like the more educational stuff, I actually really enjoy making,
yeah.
and so I think it is more palatable now. It's, especially considering I don't curse as much as I did in my earlier videos. And
Yeah.
it's just been interesting. Like as I go through this, I'll probably share a little bit more as it happens. And on the live streams, I usually get a chance to connect with other Christians who ask me questions, and I try to give it as straight as possible. Trying definitely not to overstep on something that's new to me, but
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's hard, right? Because I mean,
yeah,
I know there's some in the word it talks about like, hey, you got to be mindful not to start thinking that you can start teaching when
right,
you just joined up. Like you just got here, bro. What do you know?
yeah,
But
yeah,
also I think it's important for anybody like if you have a new experience, whether it's hey, I'm getting into firearms or hey, I'm getting into a sport or one of the biggest things you can do, finding faith, which that is the biggest thing between that and starting a family. Um, to be able to share that with people and talk about what is kind of what it's done for you in your life, I think that's huge. So kudos to you for exploring that and for trying that things out and for seeking that peace. And obviously, it's a little bit weird having running into like, man, my content's changing, and I don't know if I like that. But also, like, my life is actually changing. Like, this thing is actually impacting me in a way that's like tangible. Like, I can see the change, and I suppose that means it's real, at least in some way. So,
yeah. I'm trying to stay authentic throughout all this. Even from the beginning, I told myself like I'm not going to lose myself as making this journey, going through this journey, making content for the public. Not necessarily for the public. I'm making pieces of content that I find interest and motivation in making.
mhm.
That is also authentic. I don't care to make content just for the sake of triggering people.
Yeah,
Um, which I know a lot of people like to lean in that direction because it's an easy grift, not gonna lie.
yeah,
And it is rewarded too, which sucks even more, especially when you put so much effort into making good content that doesn't necessarily trigger people just for the sake of it.
man.
And then it doesn't do views and you're like, yo, what, all
Man,
this effort.
the amount of people making a lot of money off of promoting things that they maybe they kind of believe, but they don't truly believe,
Yeah.
or that in their private life they're doing the exact opposite. Like there's, I suppose, in Florida, there's this big news case where this conservative power couple who is, I guess, politically powerful, they got caught in some sort of like three-way relationship, and like it's like messy stuff, especially
Yeah.
if you are encouraging people not to do those things. And it's
Hmm.
just like, ooh, was this just a grift, or is this the sin nature showing up and exposing people for
Yeah.
everything in the dark coming to the light, and it's going to come out eventually. So just do the right thing, and that's why I try to do the right thing, even if I don't. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Does it happen in the gun world too? Are there certain personalities who are like, you can tell as a content creator is like, oh, they're just saying that stuff. They don't actually believe that thing about whatever they're talking about, or
Yeah, it can happen. The gun community is really protective of the like firearms, the Second Amendment, things like that. So if you are like, yeah, I'm a gun owner, but like if somebody were to do the trend, I'm a gun owner, but I believe in red flag laws. Ooh, you're gonna get shut down. You're gonna get shut down.
yeah,
There was actually this one chick who she's like a self-defense channel. She reviews, this is such a grift. Oh my gosh. But some people do it well and respect. They get videos of like, oh, this lady defended herself from a break-in, or this Ring door camera, somebody came up to their door and was saying something crazy and was like trying to kick in the door, and then they left. And this is what you need to do to protect yourself. This one lady was at Walmart and they boxed her in and she was able to escape. So you got to lock your doors, like things like that, like self-defense chicks and self-defense bros. Doesn't take a lot of work, but people are getting views and good for
yeah,
them, right?
yeah.
Um, this one chick after a shooting was like, "Hey, um, so this is the sound. If you ever hear this sound, you know that you're under attack from an AR-15." It was just like this cracking. It could have been anything, this. It was a shooting at a bowling alley. That one that was kind of recent, and she was like, I'm all for the Second Amendment, but I don't think these weapons of war should be on our streets. That's a no no. That's a
Yeah.
no no. You don't say that if you're in the 2A community. And I'm not trying to say that to tell people like, hey, if you actually believe that, don't share your thoughts and share your mind. But if you are in the self defense space and you claim to be part of the 2A community or 2A gal or 2A guy, understand exactly what you're saying before you say it. Make sure you have a great understanding of what the Second Amendment actually means, because the purist, including myself, we're not for that. You know, basically any gun, like in reality, all gun laws are infringements because the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. It is
Right.
very clear, although I wish they would have made it a little bit more clear.
I don't
Um,
know. How can you make it more clear than that?
I don't know. They'd be like, "Well, what's a well-regulated militia?" Well,
All right.
you got to go
Yeah.
through the legal terminologies, and people. It's like kind of like reading the Bible, where people are like
Yeah.
these and thous, and why does it say he? So it doesn't apply to women. I'm like, you're an idiot. Stop pretending to be dumb. Stop pretending to be dumb. Or are you actually dumb? Okay, that's the problem. We're in trouble now, boys.
Yeah.
So let me let's I want to talk about your fiance. I know that's kind of a weird thing to bring up.
Okay.
It's kind of a weird thing, right? You got engaged. How long were you guys dating before you got engaged?
Well, we dated before in the past, and then
Okay, and this is kind of
yeah,
like,
and then we rekindled early
oh,
2023, and then
stop.
so about a year or
That's
or
awesome.
so. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and you're like, shoot, let me get engaged, and then you were like, what kind of cut do I need for the ring?
Yeah.
What? And then you made a whole freaking video on it, and I'm like, yo, you need to get a sponsorship from the people that you bought your ring from, because you're like promoting these people. Like
Yeah.
you need to get your affiliate link, man. Like make some money. Like
Yeah.
and you really believe in it to the point where you brought it up with unprompted, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think Alex Hormozy said this. Like, a lot of the promotion and effort you put out there, you're probably going to recoup maybe 10% of that
Yeah,
in your lifetime. So to me, it's just like I like the idea of just promoting things that I genuinely use and not being or dealing with the whole possibly biased situation of financial relationship being there.
yeah,
But in this case, is like I just found it on Etsy, a seller who makes engagement rings that I thought were that I think are more interesting than the traditional stuff. So I ended up going
yeah,
through there, and then I obviously whenever I try something new, I always deep dive into it. So I learned about diamonds, the variations of those, and how
yeah.
they're
Boy is
graded.
obsessed, and
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
yeah.
Because here's the
It's the
thing:
engineer in me.
you and my wife have a superpower. You can go in and look at really complicated information, and because you have the background to understand it, you can kind of distill it and then bring it to people in a way that they can understand,
Yeah,
which is fantastic. Keep doing
yeah,
that. Never
yeah,
change unless it's for the
yeah.
better.
Yeah,
So
and then yeah, so I learned so much about this, and I figured, hey, this whole Instagram sharing information stuff is working for me, and it's something I can share that I think is useful for anyone out there who's looking for an engagement ring. So I was like, hey, here's some things to look for. Here's how gold composition is graded, and here's the compromise you're going to be making. If you have a higher gold content, the ring will be softer. So consider her lifestyle. Will she be in rough environments or have to deal with things that might mar
mhm.
the ring? Consider the composition of the ring itself, and then also any skin issues and stuff. So it was useful information
Yeah,
that I actually went through, and I figure my mind my my mindset on this is since I did the work already, other people don't have to do it. So let me just
yeah,
give the
yeah.
game out here for free, and then
I
plug
watched
the
this movie so you don't have to.
yeah, basically yeah.
Talking about Madam Web. Apparently, it's terrible. Apparently, freaking Madam Web the movie. So that's really really cool, and hopefully, you said something that's interesting. You talked about the issue of financial relationships potentially tainting your opinions on things, and I found that in the gun community and firearm spaces to be kind of like kind of a weird thing where I think people in the gun space are a little bit more protective of no financial relationships being between you and said firearms manufacturer. Did they send you this gun? Oh, so you're not going to say anything bad because you want to make sure that you kind of protect the bag and your ability to get another gun for free,
Mhm.
or to be on their list to get a gun early, or maybe you got paid and you want to make sure you can keep getting paid. And I know for myself, early on, I decided whether we have a financial relationship or not, whether I got paid for review or not, whether or to talk about your gun, which is it a review if you got paid to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or if I have some sort of affiliate relationship with you, and I have a few affiliate relationships out there, um, I I'm gonna try to be upfront with you and be like, hey, affiliate relationship. It doesn't mean I can't talk about the brand. And in fact, I find the value is if I can find something truthful to say that's fair, but slightly like, hey, consider this before you buy it. I find that to be, I guess, helpful for my relationship with my viewers, because my viewers are my customer. The brand is
Mhm.
not my customer. And this is something I've like realized where it doesn't matter what they can give me, because my viewers, the people who trust me, that relationship is the most important thing in all of this. Because the brands don't care.
Yeah.
These guys are the ones. Because if your viewer base leaves, what do you have left?
Right.
You gotta start over, and now you're tainted. Now you're known as a shill and a huckster.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Have you ever been approached by a brand? I know you're starting to pop off, and it's one of those things where, or have you ever thought, "Ooh, this would be a good brand I want to work with"?
On TikTok, yeah. I mean, since they introduced TikTok Shop, I get every day there's messages in there, but it's nothing I care to promote.
Yeah,
And so that's the thing. Like, weirdly enough, I even made a video about Bag Balm. They make like lotions out of like this interesting, um, like it's just a weird, different type of lotion for like if you have like skin issues, cracking or whatever.
yeah,
And really, it was just a video, unsponsored, literally just like, hey, I had cracking on my elbows and this saved my elbows, basically. And they saw the video and just asked if they could send me some stuff. And it got me thinking that maybe this is the way you can establish relationships. You talk about
yeah.
things
Didn't
that
you
you
do a
already
video on
use.
that?
Yeah, I did. It was one of my older videos, but it did more views on TikTok, and they just DM'd me and was like, "Can we send you a box of stuff?" I was like, "I don't. As long as this doesn't obligate me to promote it in any way,
Right,
sure." And they're like, "Yeah,
right,
we just appreciated your video." And so, like, maybe
man.
that's a more interesting way, since as an influencer or like a content creator, you already used it, you spent some of your own money on
Hmm.
it, and then you establish that relationship because you already have a track record and you can
Yeah,
talk honestly about it. I think that'd be an interesting way to move forward with this kind of stuff.
yeah. I find that there's certain ads that run like, oh, I guess the waterproof shoes that are going around. All the big YouTubers are talking about the Vessies or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I was using Vessies and Raycons since way before they reached out, but now that we have an opportunity, I love it. I got my second pair, and I dunked my foot in a bucket of water, and it's just like I don't feel this is sincere. But
Yeah.
I felt when you did your video, I was like, oh yeah, this man really. Maybe I should try that out because I'm getting some cracking on this elbow and this,
Yeah.
And I suppose that's where people fall in love with the personality, like we talked
Yeah.
about earlier, where it's
Yeah.
like,
And that's
yeah,
why I also like selling my own product, because I literally make these myself. So, like, when anyone has an issue with it, it's me. Like, I literally
yeah,
made this. And plus, it's like, and since it's my own thing, I sort of like, I have responsibility, I think. And so
hmm,
that's what I prefer. It's like, if I can stay independent throughout all this and still be free to say what I want, even if
yeah,
the platform decides to like kick me off, I'll still have somewhat of an audience on some other platform or whatever,
right,
and sustain this without worrying about like, oh, I have to be careful. I don't know. I just don't like how a lot of us are in these like compromising situations. After you
yeah,
build your success, is sort of like golden handcuffs that you sort of have to
yeah.
like. It's a trap, man. It's a trap.
It really is. It's kind of sucky in that way, but it's such a blessing to be able to, have conversations and look back
Yeah.
and be like, wow, like 2,000 people saw that one clip, or, oh, wow, this video's got 30,000 views on it. Like this, you know, really, like, what was this video? Like, this video wasn't anything. I recorded it
Mhm.
for fun. And now it's doing okay. Or like you on Instagram where it's like, oh, 1 million views.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or like you
10
you know what's
million.
crazy? Or like Richard Jefferson stitching your video
Oh my
because
gosh, bro. That was awesome. Freaking Richard Jefferson reacting to your video.
yeah. Here's the thing. I only made the video because I thought it was an interesting concept. So this was basically some dispute about the 3 point line, and I just wanted to point out how they could have possibly ruled it a two.
Yeah.
Okay, just based on like angles and optical distortion or whatever. So I demonstrate in the video how possibly shoes that look like they're behind the line could be over the line. And I did this without saying a word because that was the challenge for myself. I wanted to see if I can make a video without saying a word. And so,
You're a menace.
yeah. And so I do this. For me, it was just a throwaway video. I didn't put that much thought into it. And
Right.
then right now it's like at 13 million views. And then Richard Jefferson stitches it. And then he starts clowning my shoes. I'm like, what's going on, man?
Yo, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. But that's the power of the internet, man. Like
Yeah.
if you do something that's interesting or relatable or gets the conversation going, like people that maybe you have a lot of esteem for, maybe you hate, like you don't hate them actually, but like you're like, oh, I'm a LeBron hater. Like he might react to your video.
You might.
Or
You might.
freaking what's his name? Do you remember that dancing drone guy? Like he's got the drone that circles him 360 and he's like dancing on top of a hill.
No,
He
I
was
don't
big
know
on
that guy.
TikTok. He was big on
Okay.
TikTok where he was wearing a pair of headphones, sunglasses, and some jeans that are a little bit too tight, and he's just dancing while the drone is like 360 video recording him to some music. I think it was that one Justin Bieber song, and then like a bunch of people, like big name celebrities, like uh, oh my, like Bella Porch and my gosh, what's his name, Dr. Phil. You know, Dr. Phil. He was like, yeah, let's do a video together, and now they're like collabing with like these massive creators and influencers and TV stars and just regular people that have a cool job that we all kind of wanted to get to know for some reason. That's the
Yeah.
reality. And my mom met his dad on an airplane.
Oh, wow.
So that weird stuff. It's a small world.
It
Small
is.
world. And now I get to meet you, Mr. Stitch by Richard Jefferson himself.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel some type of way about these celebrities because it's just like, I don't know. I think I have like a sort of, I don't know, just highly suspect of anyone in
Mm-hmm.
entertainment or whatever. And
Yeah.
I prefer just having conversations like this. Like a lot of the guests I bring on the podcast are just friends or friends of friends. And this whole idea that I do understand how clout begets more clout. And so by bringing someone on, knowing the right people, you can be put on. Like, I
Sure.
think that's a easy shortcut, but I don't know. I feel like
I mean, that's why I brought you on, right?
I don't. You're
I'm
bigger than
kidding.
me on YouTube, bro.
We're
So I
just having fun,
appreciate the
man.
platform.
We're just having fun, bro. Like, like honestly, like I saw your vibe and I was like, yo, this is a guy that I would like to get to know. I'm gonna just send him a DM, let him know that I appreciate his work. And you're like, thanks, bro. And I was like, oh, best friends.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like the number of connections I've been able to build just through
Bro,
Instagram DMs, man.
my
They've
entire
been.
podcast, Instagram DMs.
Oh, really?
Mine is like 3 or 4.
Mhm.
But it's like, hey man, can you get this person on the show? I'll send him a DM. Hey man, love what you do. Come on the podcast sometime. Okay, bro. Send me an invite. Send him the tidy cow. Boom.
Yeah,
Boom. Let's do the show.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
definitely got to
it's
like
been good.
organize this on my end a little better because I really like the setup that you got going on. The stream, the organization. It's definitely something to be commended for
Oh
sure.
well, I mean, I'm incredibly unorganized, but but I'm trying. Like I'm trying. 3 years in, actually 3 years this month. This might actually be the anniversary day itself. I'm not
Oh,
sure, but um,
congratulations.
thank you, thank you. I remember first episode. I was talking to a guy who freaking. It was during the Texas snowpocalypse. His pipes had burst in his living room, and he was shoveling water out of his living room. Like it was like -2 degrees or whatever. It was like super cold. People were dying, like
Yeah.
literally dying. And he was like, I was like, hey man, you still want to do the show? I mean, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. I need to take a break anyways. And so he went upstairs, and set up, and we did the podcast, and that's great. And I'm not sure you can still find that episode just because it was not good in the sense that the
Mm.
audio was kind of bad, and we chopped it up in a weird way. But um, It's been such a blessing to be able to come on and talk with you guys, talk with you, talk with the guests, share whatever it is I'm learning with the audience. And sometimes I'm learning a lot, and sometimes I'm not learning very much, and it's obvious. So, this has been really, really cool. Can you tell people how to find you? And then we're going to go over to locals for like 10, 15 minutes, and I'm going to show you some guns. That's what,
Okay.
because
Oh,
that's what
that'd
we
be
do.
awesome.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yes.
I just got this bad boy in from my guy Scout. I can't open the box because reasons, they'll pull the
Yes.
string.
Yes. Yeah.
But we're doing a review on it. I want to show you some stuff. Get you. Hopefully you catch the bug. If you guys want to
Yeah.
watch that, I just put the link down here in the live stream chat, and make sure you jump over there. You can watch for free if you want to be a member. Cool. Doesn't matter. Just watch. All right. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on any socials. Just search Table Moments. It's the Table Moments podcast, conversations about anything and everything, the kind of conversations you have with your friends. And it's on any podcasting app, catcher, whatever. Just search Table Moments. And yeah, follow me on Instagram or TikTok. And now trying to grow on YouTube. And I have some project ideas and still don't really know the final direction of this podcast, but just experimenting as always, and we'll see what happens.
All right, all right. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, listening, wherever you are. I put the link down in the show notes, the podcast notes, the description of this video, and the live stream, live chat for those who want to hop over and enjoy the final few minutes of this podcast where we geek out about guns and stuff like that. Because we can actually show guns over on locals. We can't do it here. So we're pigeonholed into that. But it's fun, give you guys something to watch over on that exclusive website. You can watch it for free. Anyways, this has been really fun, guys. Thank you so much for three years strong, and I would love to continue on for another 3. Let's do it. Thank you so much. Keep it costly.